guys, welcome to the Save Continue podcast, where every week we get together and talk about video games and video game related stuff. I'm Shanae Howard. This is Thomas Shelby.
Hello.
This is Ryan Robinson.
Hi, this is Ryan Robinson again.
Yep.
Hopefully we sound a little louder this week.
Yeah, I'm really up on the mic, so
Yeah,
there should be no excuses this time.
that's true.
Yeah.
So I was sick last time we recorded, so
We told them about
Yeah.
your...
The first episode, we're like, Shanae's going to be here next week. And then next week came and they're like, we lied.
and we told them about your stones.
Yeah, your power stones.
yeah. I was collecting power stones. It did not work out well.
Uh-huh.
I am even less powerful than before.
Okay.
I don't know how that's possible.
Mhm.
But yeah, how have you guys been?
I've been pretty good. I feel real tired lately, but I'm good.
Mm.
I'm here.
Do you think it's the coronavirus?
No,
Probably not.
I'm strong like a bull.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just because you're getting old?
Yeah, probably.
Mm.
But no, I'm good. Been playing through Doom 2016.
It's a fantastic game, Thomas.
Yeah.
On what system?
Unfortunately, on PlayStation 4. No knock to the PlayStation 4. I just prefer to be playing that mouse and keyboard.
Yeah, they should let you play mouse and keyboard on the console.
I mean, The Sims does it.
yeah, why not? You know?
You can play mouse and keyboard on the Doom on the PS4?
No.
I said they should let you.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't.
Yeah, me neither.
And
Final
I've
Fantasy lets you.
been playing Bayonetta again. I bought that game a third time.
Cool.
So
So I've had a coworker that's been coming over to my house after work, and we've been playing Smash Brothers. And I've been playing a lot as Bayonetta or Corrin. I'm getting pretty decent with those two characters.
yeah,
I know one of those characters.
Corrin is from a Fire Emblem game.
I see. Okay.
Wicked Weave.
Yeah, I'm still on that Fire Emblem train.
Doesn't seem to be stopping anytime soon.
Nope, like I said, about to be done with my third playthrough, and then I'm going to do my fourth.
Wow.
Fourth or DLC?
My first playthrough with the DLC.
Okay,
So, like the newest Wave 4 one, yeah, where you have the secret house.
but it's all pre-time jump, right?
On that one, I don't know, because I haven't played
it
it.
is.
I mean, it makes sense, because, like, there's new, like, classes and things that I can see that are locked.
Yeah.
And I had a message that said, like, I've already passed where I could unlock
Yeah,
it.
you don't have this. Would you like to buy it?
Well, no, it's because, like,
Yeah.
I was already in, like, post time skip and on, like, a route. So I think that, like, I think it's, like, after chapter 5, like, you have to do it before chapter 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I haven't played it yet, but I'm excited too.
I'm excited for you.
I'm also just knee deep in that Smallville too.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Season 6, baby. I'm about to be season 7.
How many seasons of that show are there?
10.
Well,
And
Shanae, if you really end up loving it, you can buy the comic series season 11.
I was gonna say, I know there's a season 11, but it's only
Batman's in that.
Yeah.
You
don't like him?
I think Wonder Woman's there too.
You like her?
I mean, they're fine.
Feminist icon.
They're fine. I just wish I'm not into an area yet where I think that they would improve what I'm watching
Sure.
or what I'm like consuming as far as content. So I'll have to see how season 10 goes to see if I want to get to season 11.
Yeah. Well, I didn't think Oliver would improve it, but he totally did.
He's also just fine.
Sure.
Is
Those
he shooting
sunglasses.
Is he shooting arrows and stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is.
Cool.
He
How much Mirakuru does he ingest?
Actually, there's a time that he is injecting himself with some drugs.
It's not Mirakuru. You snort that.
No, it's not. Oh, well, you can inject Mirakuru.
Oh,
Oh, you didn't get that far in the ship.
Yeah, you can smoke it.
cool.
You can smoke it, inject it, take a bath in it.
Put it in your butt.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
like
Yeah.
a convenient chewable form.
Yeah.
Like Mirakuru gummies.
Cool.
Well, they wouldn't be little bears. Well, they'd be like little arrows
They'd be like little skulls.
Yeah, little baby kurus.
Yeah,
or little slate masks.
sure.
Yeah.
That guy's cool. Is he on that show?
Little Thea crop tops.
Is Slade the Terminator on that show?
I don't
No.
believe so.
Man, that'd be cool. He's
He's-
real cool.
He's just basically Deathstroke. So
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Yeah, he's Deathstroke. Deathstroke's little brother.
Yeah,
That's a cool name too.
yeah, death choke.
Yeah. That sounds like the video game on a TV show.
There's somebody I work with whose last name is Death Rage.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it really is.
Okay, it probably legally is, but I bet he wasn't born with that
Yeah.
name.
So actually, it's from her husband, and
Oh my god.
like people like try to do like Death Rage or like try like
Death Rage.
or like just, like try and like and they're like no, it's just like
That's a good one.
so
Yeah.
Like,
my favorite game, Streets of Rage 2.
Primal Rage.
and I
Simpsons Road Rage.
Rage against the machine.
Yeah.
asked her, I was like, so where's the last name from? Like, did he like change his last name? She's like, no, like they've had it for generations. Like they apparently like his mom
He
tried
lied
to
to her.
try to like look into it
Yeah,
and
he's
like
a liar.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. Like it's a family name, but obviously somebody had to pick it at some point. That's how
Sure.
any last names are done.
It's a long line of Rages.
Yeah. I think he lied to her about that lineage.
Yeah.
I feel like the lineage goes as far as him going to the courthouse.
Yeah. It's Irish.
No, I also doubted it, but yeah. So as far as I don't know where the last name came from, but obviously somebody had to pick it at some point.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna pick your last name, it's a dope ass last name to pick.
I think Robinson works out pretty good for me.
Nah, I want to just be like Shanae Murder Spree.
I think you should be Sinead Deathchoke.
Yeah.
I think I can get Berto and down for that to change his last name to that too.
Alberto
Yeah.
Deathchoke.
Mhm.
That's pretty cool.
Or the Death Chokes.
I
I
like
feel
it.
like Choke's a better last name. Death could be your middle name.
Yeah.
Mrs. Choke.
Then it just sounds like
The Chokes.
Yeah, the Machokes, like the Pokemon.
Yeah.
We're not the Machamps. We're just the Machokes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chokes.
My choke's on you.
Yeah.
But yeah, what games have you been playing, Ryan?
We're fucking stupid, man.
That's
Oh my
pretty
god.
cool. Well, I'll start with this. Last night, me, Tom, and our friends Sarah and Jimmy finished Silent Hill 2.
Yeah. It's a good time watching you guys play that.
Yeah, it was fun.
Although I do feel like
did y'all
to some
record it for
extent
the
you guys
podcast?
didn't get all of it.
Well, there are recordings that Sarah will provide to us
Yeah.
later on, but yeah, it was a good time. I think it was like 3 weeks total, 3 Saturdays, I should say, 3 Saturdays of sitting down and playing the game, and it was a good time. Lots of laughs. I shot a woman.
Like real life?
Sure. No, so
You
there
shouldn't
is
admit that on a recording.
there is a
thing.
character in the game named Maria who follows you around.
Maria.
And something happened to where we were in a very narrow hallway, and there were a bunch of monsters coming at us, and I got scared. And
As you're
yeah, and
want
then
to.
like I was trying to shoot the monsters, and I ended up shooting her in the chest, and it gave me a game over, which I didn't know could happen.
You didn't know a game over could happen?
I didn't know that I could shoot her.
Oh, okay.
I'd seen a few game overs because we died a lot in that game. And then since the last time we recorded, Street Fighter 5 Champion Edition came out, and I've been playing a shitload of that, and I'm loving it like a lot. And look, I'm basically been playing that and the Division 2 with my partner, and that's a really fun game. They improved on the Division 1 in a lot of really meaningful ways, and perhaps the most meaningful way is something that I've talked to Tom about, is that the Division is an always online game, so there's some lag, but there's always I'd say a half-second lag. In the Division 1, there's always a half-second lag between when you shot a guy and the damage registered.
Destiny used to have the same problem. Hunt Showdown still has the same problem.
And it was just so it's just so hard to play a game like that. But they've addressed that in the Division 2, and like a lot of other little quality of life improvements. And we're in the end game right now, and it's just been a whole lot of fun. It's a nice game to play with just another person. So I'm enjoying it quite a bit.
So you said partner, but I'm assuming you mean significant other. But all I'm imagining is like a buddy cop movie, like it's your like police partner.
It's funny you should say that, because there's a trophy in that game that you get for sliding across the hood of a car, and it's called TV Cop. I think
Nice.
that's really cool.
No, so when I was super sick, I had quite a few fever dreams,
Cool.
but one of them was like I have like a visceral memory of a couple of them. So a couple of them were actually kind of terrifying that like I think I maybe need to go back to a therapist. But one of them though, I am being very much like Vanquish and just sliding around everywhere.
On your knees.
That's
Yep.
awesome.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah, that guy can slide on his knees real fast.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty cool ability to have.
Yeah. The
And
other
slow time.
Mm-hmm.
the other ones, in that same like fever dream of like doing that, there's also like some Bayonetta-esque stuff going on, but I wasn't like the one doing it.
Were you wearing a hairsuit?
No,
Oh.
but like just like really fast paced and like guns, and I remember like boot guns.
Yeah.
But the rest, I'm just being just a stone cold killer and murdering
Cool.
people.
Yeah.
This is the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dream.
Cool. The Dreamcast. Doomed to fail.
So this week, Tom wanted to talk about this generation because he has some complaints.
Thoughts and prayers.
Not a lot of complaints. It's like we talked a few weeks ago about next
Some
generation
nitpicks.
and like things that we hope to see and all that. I think some of this got mentioned there, but like I was going through my PS4 games, of which I have around 300, and it occurred to me for the first time that not all, but the majority of the games this gen that I really loved are sequels to last gen games, remakes of last gen games, straight ports of last gen games. Like
Yeah.
when I look at the current generation software, there's a few that I really love, but for the most part, I'm just like, this generation just seems very forgettable to me.
Heck, one of your favorite games that came out this generation was a game from 2 generations ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And and Baba is you. It's
It's a pretty great game.
You can't even. I mean,
From what I
like,
understand.
would you really say it's like a this generation game?
I mean, it's hard to say because the two platforms that's available on are PC, which, how do you measure generations of PC games? I mean, I guess you could do it off of
How do you measure the might
popular
of a man?
graphics cards,
Yeah.
you know, and then Switch, which Nintendo has taken this approach to coming out mid-generation, you know. So it's hard to say. Do you consider Switch current generation? Do you
Yes.
consider Wii U current generation? You know, like it's
No.
difficult to say. But like, well, what I mean is like in 2013, 2014, when these consoles were coming out, like Wii U was what was being produced for the next several years, you know.
Yeah, but if no one bought it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. But like, I just, in that sense, yeah, I mean, there are definitely current gen games that I love. I love Breath of the Wild. I love Baba Is You. I love Nier Automata, right? But like, out of just hundreds of games going through there, I'm like, the majority of these that are like my fucking favorite games are old games, you know?
Persona 5 is this generation as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
There were a lot of standout hits from this generation, like, but they all came out. I feel like a lot of them came out around the same time, but for most of the, like, I look at the games that are available for sale now, or the games that are coming up for these consoles, and there are some things that excite me, but for the most part, it's just not something that I don't really get excited about. You know.
See, and I really thought like that Ryan would be in a different place with this than me because Ryan has many times said, you know, an old game is old.
Yeah, old games are old, man. Why are we still playing Killer Instinct 1?
Right, and I don't
Why
feel
still
that way.
playing-
I've never
playing
felt that
Doom?
way. But you know, I did think your opinion would differ on this quite a bit. And there are like I said, there's new games I like. But like even in the smaller space, right? Like even in the indie scene, I feel like because of the indie renaissance that began last generation, those games felt more important, right? Braid and Limbo felt more significant than something like The
Journey,
Witness or
Flower,
Inside. Yeah. Right, exactly. Journey, Flower.
I mean, we have stuff like Bound.
They felt
This-
bigger, you know? Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just weird.
I mean, also, like, I do feel like, well, how much that is just where you are in your life, this generation versus like last generation. The fact is, like, as you get more knowledgeable or like as you play more and more games, like I do
Yeah.
feel like it's you start seeing more of the patterns. Like, like, oh, this game's gonna be similar to this game. This like
Sure.
this studio is gonna be making like something like this, and it does take some of like the mysticism and excitability out of like, I think, out of some things. Like video game fatigue is definitely a thing. Like in general, playing it, but I think also just being like in a like as far as like a generation, like being in it.
But I also think like a big part of it is like I look at the games that I really loved that are not old games, right? And all of them were very possible last generation. You know, they might not have happened then, but like they very easily could have. Nier Automata would have been fine on a PlayStation 3. You know, Persona 5, I believe, came out to PlayStation 3.
Yeah.
You know,
Did it?
I'm pretty sure it did. Baba's You sure as fuck would have run on it. You know, like
Yeah. I think my problem is a lot of stuff just feels
the generation just doesn't feel justified.
just feels manufactured.
Yeah.
All this stuff feels very manufactured, and I don't think that it has a lot of character behind it. With some exceptions, right? Like I'm not gonna sit here and say that there's no game that I like this generation, because Doom 2016 is one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World, one of my favorite games of all time. But for every one of those, there's just a bunch of other games that just feel stale.
Right. And I think like Doom and Monster Hunter are good examples of games that, like what I'm talking about, like those games could have ran last gen.
Yeah.
They might have looked a little bit uglier, but you would have essentially had the same game.
Yeah.
And like I do think visuals are important.
Yeah.
I do. But it's got to be more than that for me.
Right.
Right. And I'm just not
I don't know
seeing
if
that.
like Monster Hunter World would have like ran as well.
If they made it a little bit like less texture heavy, less particle heavy, I think it would have been fine.
Yeah.
There were bigger worlds on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 than that of Monster Hunter World. They just aren't as finely detailed,
Yeah.
you know.
And the thing is, like, last generation doesn't have. I mean, like, I can't say that. Like, obviously, like a lot of the games that I got really into this generation are like continuations of IP from past generations, like Persona 5, the remake of God of War, Kingdom Hearts 3,
Yeah.
Fire Emblem. I'm trying to think of like any other game that got like super into. I mean, you're right. Like a lot of them are just IP that already existed and just like a new.
And I want
chapter
that,
of it.
right? I want sequels to my favorite games. But I also want new games that I'm really into. And like I feel like
That's what was cool about last gen.
I feel like on last gen there was a fuck ton of new
Like
stuff.
you got
that
your
I
Gears
was
of
just
War, you got
super
your
into.
Dead Spaces. you
Yeah.
know.
I was like, yeah. I mean, I did enjoy Dead Space. I did play that. I don't know. I just feel like
And it is more of a gamble, but
I feel like this
you know.
generation, I don't know, appreciated games more than I did with last generation, and that
Yeah.
may just be my experience with like me being knowledgeable or actually being into it or doing this podcast.
sure.
But like, I don't know. I like this generation made me really appreciate a lot of things about the games that I already liked.
Yeah.
It made me really just like glad that I stuck with some IPs. It made me interested in like new ones.
And
Cause
I think that could be attributed at least partly to remasters and re-releases of last gen games. Like for example, like for me, like I didn't play The Last of Us until this gen.
Right.
And I don't think I would have, because I don't think I would have gone back to play it on a PlayStation 3. I don't think I would have made the effort to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like that's a lot of people, but
That is a lot of people. For that specific game, that's a lot of
speaking
people.
personally, like
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done that. So I appreciate that has happened in some of the ways that it did. And one of the things about this generation that I do like is there seems to be a larger focus on the social aspect of gaming. But I think the issue that I take with that is I don't see a lot of games engaging with that in a meaningful way.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of a disappointment to me. Because like, if you look at the front end of both the PS4 and the Xbox One, like they have like a lot of social shit built into them, but they don't really do a lot with that as far as the games are concerned.
Right.
And I wish that we would have had more of that, honestly, especially with how much my interest in multiplayer games has gotten more pronounced lately.
I mean, I do think it lends with all that socialization built in, it definitely lent itself well to the big boom of Battle Royale. I had a lot of fun playing PUBG, and not that PUBG could not have run on any of the past consoles, because it definitely could have.
Yeah.
I
don't know. Apparently, it's running pretty badly on these ones.
But I mean, it runs on a mobile chipset.
Yeah. So I think that now, yet again, that's a game that's wouldn't be impossible to play last gen, but I'm glad that it came out this gen. I do think that is the socialization did obviously lend itself well to that becoming super popular.
Yeah. But we had games like Mag last gen, which was more players than these games are.
Massive action game.
But it wasn't. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have fun like I do with PUBG.
Sure.
I played that game a couple times and I said I'm done. That game went on sale so fast at GameStop.
Well, I'm wondering if
a massive amount of trade-ins.
I'm wondering if the arrival of PUBG though has more to do with hardware limitations than it has to do with design philosophy, because I think that PUBG might have been more of a product of how someone was thinking of developing a video game rather than whether or not they could do it before.
Yeah, and it's not all technology based. My complaints are not all based on the tech. A lot of it is, but a lot of it is based on the creativity.
Yeah.
And I don't want to shit all over developers. I appreciate every game that is made that I enjoy. I just don't think. I don't know. I just feel like things were so much more creative last gen and before that.
Well, I think the previous generations had like we said before had more new IP showing up. There was a bunch. That's what the 360 is my favorite console that I've ever owned because of how much new shit I got with that console and how many cool things I got to play with. I'll play on that. That's where I got, my Dead Space. That's where I got my Gears of War. That's where I got Left 4 Dead. That's where I got all these cool games that felt so new and refreshing and interesting.
Yeah.
And they didn't have that manufactured feel. They had character to them. And I think that the major problem with this generation is a lot of stuff doesn't seem to have a lot of character or interesting things about it. There are games that I think are cool and games that I do enjoy playing, but I wonder if I'm enjoying them because that's my option by default at this point.
Well, it's funny, right? Because all these games we're talking about, Persona and Kingdom Hearts and God of War and whatever, Monster Hunter for that matter, it's sequels, right?
Yeah.
And sequels are safer from a developer and publisher standpoint. But I feel like they are in a better place to do new IP now than they were last generation. The industry as a whole makes more money than it did last generation. Mm-hmm. So they could afford those risks. At least I would assume so. So I just wonder, why do you think it is that we don't see that? Is it because they're wanting to make the top dollar they can possibly make? Is it because they think these other ideas are already being done, by plenty of indie developers? What do you think it is?
I think it's saturation of the market.
In what way?
Obviously with every new generation, there's more video games than there's ever been before because you're just continually adding. Making new consoles doesn't mean the old stuff goes away. So, at this point now, there is, especially with it being so popular and having money, I think that there's a major saturation in the market. It is harder, I think, than ever to have your game stand out.
But we do know most consumers are looking to one marketplace as opposed to us looking to several, and if that marketplace isn't Steam, then these libraries aren't just getting bigger. They are getting bigger and bigger, but they're not including everything from the generations that came before,
right.
But
I feel like this generation in particular has done a pretty good job of that, right? We see all the Arcade Archives releases and stuff like that.
Those are cool.
But,
I don't know. I know a lot of people who don't get rid of their old consoles or trade them in when they buy a new one.
No,
sure. And they still have all their old games. And if I'm feeling nostalgic for Left 4 Dead, I can bust out my 360 that I still have and play that game. That's not an issue. And some people are just going to one console, but as you said, they are doing the throwbacks and and having a lot of their older games still on their console digitally. And I do think it's harder than ever to have things stand out. I do think that it is easier for developers and publishers if you want to do something even slightly different, but there's already a genre or already a game that exists that is similar to that, then just throw that name on there and then make those changes to it. Like, I mean, like the new things they wanted to do is Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, there's plenty of other games that could have had similar to like gameplay to that, and they. I'm not that they're saying that's what they did with that game. I'm just using it as an example. Like, it's easier just to.
And I don't know how much an IP like Kingdom Hearts sells for the gameplay. Like, I'm sure that's a part of it that the players like, but I think that game sells on the IP, you know?
True. Yeah, it was a pretty poor example. I just kind of grabbed one because
I get you. Like, you're not wrong.
And I think that with there being so many options and ways to go, obviously, like, publishers and developers do know there's a lot of money in the market. They probably, I mean, not all developers, but like publishers particularly do want to make that money.
Yeah.
So what are they going to do? Use IP that people know and use gameplay that people like.
But even like this generation, right? I feel like the big publishers were more willing to gamble on a new IP than they are late in the generation.
It seems like the new thing for this generation.
I mean, there's the Dead Don't Ride.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but like
name.
we saw companies like Ubisoft releasing Valiant Hearts, you know?
Yeah.
As much as I hate the game, we saw companies like EA releasing fucking Yarny, you know?
Fucking Yarny.
We don't really see that so much now. And it's only a few years removed.
It seems like the thing to experiment with, or at least it did seem like that for a few years, was just doing stuff in VR. But but I think the big thing with VR early on was that a lot of the games that I think while people were figuring out the tech, what a lot of people wanted, what the safe thing to do in VR was to make a shooting gallery of sorts. And I think that companies have gotten better about making more diverse experiences within that platform. Maybe not enough to sell to like a huge mainstream audience, but I think that they've done enough to like kind of carve a place out in the market for that stuff. And that's something that, we didn't, that's one unique thing that we didn't see last gen. And like VR as a concept isn't new, but make like the idea of making it available to like this many people.
Yeah, the slice of the pie is bigger than it's ever been.
And so like I think that's the main thing. I think also though the main issue that I've had with that is that a lot of the experiences within that platform, and from what I've seen, haven't been that interesting. Like they're good for a few hours, and then they kind of like the novelty kind of wears off. But I think that I always thought there was a lot of potential there, and I think that there definitely still is.
I mean, VR, I guess I shouldn't call it a platform because it's several platforms, but as a platform is like one of the few good things I see about this generation.
Yeah.
I've talked about input on the show many times, and I think that's an interesting path that we eventually will probably all go down. And there are great experiences to be had in VR.
Yeah, there are.
I've got friends that play Beat Saber daily, every day. Games like genres that have existed before. Like rhythm games, like platformers, right? Like
that's a whole new way to play them.
Astrobot VR.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have as much fun playing that game normally.
Is it Tetris 99?
Tetris 99 was the
Tetris Effect is what you're saying.
Tetris Effect is what I'm thinking about.
I think it seems now it's less about, because it's really hard to make a new genre of video game, right? But I think that the focus seems to be new ways to play those video games, like new ways to play Tetris or new ways to play rhythm games that we hadn't seen before. Like before with rhythm games, we had guitars and turntables and drum sets, and now we have lightsabers,
right?
And so that's cool, right? But I would like to see more cool things like that. And maybe as I don't really expect to see much more experimentation with that stuff as this generation goes on, but it is a cool thing that I've been able to experience with the PlayStation 4. I haven't played any of those other headsets though, but It's cool.
They're all better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But they're not.
I mean, I don't know if they're all better.
None
or
of
not,
them
but-
are as comfortable.
I would say that I would not say that they're all better because that Samsung VR thing.
Well,
kinda
that's like
sucks.
like Gear VR where you're slotting your fucking phone in is not
Yeah.
better.
I've heard
But like
that
as
Quest,
far as
that Quest
Vive
seems
or
real cool.
yeah,
I like my time with the Oculus. I still think that was super fun. Yeah, but I have had the most experience with like the PlayStation one, and
it's the most affordable, right?
I-
That's why it's done the best. It's
Yeah.
the most affordable one.
it is definitely like agree with like the most comfortable. I also think it's just like it had the most variety of what I got to play.
Right. But like
Uh,
but the price on that is going to come down, right? Like the price on everything comes down. It's going to happen. Eventually VR will be affordable to the average consumer. When that happens, I do wonder if it'll take off in a bigger way than it has.
Yeah.
But
Well, then, like, I think we'll see a larger variety of video game. It's just hard though because nobody knows. The big thing about VR is you don't know if it's gonna sit well with you until you try it.
right.
And I think that, like, for some people, there are physical limitations to whether or not you can actually enjoy it.
But the same thing was said with 3D polygonal video games.
That's true.
You know,
That's true.
like it's something that people will get past.
And I when it was first announced for this generation, like I was excited. Like I was like a VR platform that is affordable and easy to set up, and I know for a fact that I meet the hardware requirements. You know, that's great.
Sure. It's a good selling point.
Yeah, but and I think that there are some really good things about this generation that I've really enjoyed. But again, everything that I can think of with this gen was established last generation.
Right.
Like what I love about Mortal Kombat at this point.
Right.
That was established last generation,
Yep.
right? Like it's not the same game, sure, but like these concepts that they put down, the way Mortal Kombat is made now was established last generation. So, I wanted to see more, more originality, more new IP, more novel experiences than what I got, and I got some.
Yeah.
I certainly did, but I stare at because those times when we're sitting in the living room and we're just looking at the store, and I look at this wall of video games,
Yeah.
and none of them jump out at me.
Right. And when they do, it's like me buying Bayonetta this week. Like that's what excited me.
Yeah, yeah,
and not to say that there's not new games that I want to play. There are. I'm excited for Doom Eternal. I'm excited for Resident Evil 3. I'm excited for Final Fantasy 7. And those are all old games or versions of old games. You know?
yeah, it literally has remake in the name.
Right.
Last of Us remastered.
Yeah.
Waiting for Sinead to come back because I don't want it to stand up again.
Sure.
Because of my knees.
Sure. And yeah, like there's just not a lot of new IP I can think of that I'm psyched for.
And the ones that I am excited for, like I don't know when that shit's coming out.
Yeah.
Like and like there's all these games. Like I've been waiting for some of these games to come out that were announced like years ago.
Like E3's Nintendo Direct, the thing that excited me the most was Panzer Dragoon remake.
Yeah.
Like
Now that's an old ass game.
Yeah.
So like I guess
even with these old games coming out, like I'll give you an example. When they did their first
what about Cyberpunk 2077?
I don't know that I'm that excited about that game because I don't
A lot of
really
people are super hyped about it.
but
I am. I mean, I'm down to play it for sure.
I mean, I'll play it, but I wouldn't say like I'm like crazy
That said,
excited about it because I don't even know what it is.
I'm more excited for Resident Evil 3.
Yeah.
I'm more
Which,
excited for that.
again,
But,
another
like,
remake.
Final Fantasy 7.
But even with the old stuff, like I think about when Nintendo first announced when they did their Switch presentation a few months before the Switch launched, and they announced their online service and that they would be bringing NES and SNES games to this service, right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I guess the reason I thought this is because it's the way that Nintendo or that Microsoft and Sony does it is that, they're going to give us a couple each month, kind of like PS Plus games or whatever.
They didn't do that, did they?
No, they didn't do it that way. They just gave you a whole library, which I think most people would argue is the better way to go.
Okay.
But to me, I was like, well, it's these old games, right? I've bought Mario 3 on I don't know how many consoles.
Yeah.
I've played it I don't know how many times. But the thought of them releasing them monthly like, here's Mario 3 for April, right? Like, that thought excited me because it would make those old games part of the current conversation again.
Right.
And them giving us this library just, got
Like,
rid of that completely.
Yeah.
Here you go.
Right. Which is like,
Here's a
yes,
stack
they're
of
giving
games.
us more. It is more consumer friendly, but the games are less exciting because of the way they're distributed.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. It does,
Yeah.
well, because I think about.
Like, if Mario 3's in
like
the
the
zeitgeist again,
anticipation.
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah. Well, I
Super
mean,
Castlevania 4 is talked about again. That's cool to me,
Yeah.
I don't know.
well, I've talked before about how I'm excited by. I love playing video games, but I'm also excited by the act of acquiring them.
Oh, yeah, me too. I love buying video games.
And so, if I think about all the video games that I currently have,
Yeah.
and I think about how I would have felt getting them in the way that I got them, which was mostly one at a time, or if I just had them all at the same time.
Mm.
And that would be cool if I got that many video games at the same time, but then
Yeah.
I don't have anything to look forward to,
Yeah.
And that's part of it. That's definitely part of it. And that's one of the things that I liked about the previous generation that I felt more seldomly with this one is having something to look forward to. And a few of the times when I did have something to look forward to, the thing that I was looking forward to was either delayed indefinitely or just outright canceled.
Right.
So
I think I have like a different experience since I normally don't buy games at release. I don't know. I don't feel like the same like pleasure of like getting like one at a time.
Dopamine.
yeah, you should try it.
I don't get that. I don't get that hit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You
I
get your
kind of
highs from Mirakuru.
yeah. I just some little gummies. I don't know. I just kind of I have in mind what I want to play,
Yeah.
and then I just play it whenever I get done with my other games.
It's probably less expensive that way.
No,
for sure.
1000% is. But it's
Yeah.
also why I get stuck on a game forever because I am still living that little kid life where I'm like, well, I have this game, so I gotta play it.
Yeah.
But also because I am a bit of a completionist to what I care about completing. And so like I've been trudging through this third playthrough. There's a lot of things I'm just like, fuck, I am so done with
Well, I mean,
these conversations.
that sounds like you got your $60 worth, which there
I mean,
aren't
I always
like not
I always
everybody
try
can.
to.
Yeah, and not everybody can say that they're getting their money's worth out of the stuff that they're buying, because not everybody is playing games as thoroughly as you're playing that one.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely games that I've bought that I'm like, all right, I can't play this anymore.
Yeah.
I am so done with this. Like I got Let's Go Eevee for Birdo. He played a little bit of it, but didn't really get into it. And then I played some of it, and I was like, I'm gonna play it all. And I'm like, I've already played this so many times. I'm not.
Yeah.
So that one like is a $60 game that we have that like or a $60 at lunch, and that I'm not.
It's probably still $60.
Probably. It's Pokemon.
Yeah, most
It's
Nintendo
Pokemon, it
games.
is.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be like that sometimes.
But yeah, like I don't know. I do not mind having it all dumped on me because I will go ahead and catalog what I want to play myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, okay, so I want to get done with this game. I'll play this game. So for me,
But it's not what I'm saying is like this last month, BioShock and The Sims 4 were the free PS Plus games, right? And I went to work, and my friends that game at work were talking about BioShock again and talking about The Sims again.
Yeah.
And that hadn't happened for fucking ever. And that was cool to me, I don't know.
but like that's the thing. Like when I want to play these games or like talk to people about them, I just find online forums about it.
Yeah, but
I normally don't play things at launch.
Yeah.
So a lot of times I don't get to be a part of that conversation because I'm just like, well, I'll play it in like 6 months.
yeah, but that's the thing too, is that like these games didn't just launch though.
Right.
And
most of these people I'm talking to at work are like, yeah, I've never played BioShock.
yeah, like
you know?
and having the cool thing about that is like these conversations are so much more interesting when they happen organically versus when you're seeking them out.
Yeah.
And it's cool to like
Not
it's
necessarily, but go ahead.
okay. So and it's cool like to have like a retrospective of games like BioShock, who like a game that came out like 13 years ago, and I like
God damn, really?
yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's cool to like look at those games like, man, that game didn't age as well as I thought it would.
Yeah.
But and on one hand, that like in some ways that kind of sucks. But on the other hand, it's like that's a cool conversation to have because you getting to look at games through two separate lenses like that and having that conversation with other people who are just now experiencing it. And, you know, it's neat. But like we don't always get that. And I don't know. This generation is weird to me.
I'd only have opportunities to like have those conversations. Like nobody at work that I was talking to was talking about BioShock or Sims again.
Right.
Like,
Well, your friends aren't dorks.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just because people think I'm a girl. I don't play games.
That's true. You don't play games.
I play one game at a time. I play not games.
Sinead,
I play game.
Sinead, and also, if you interrupt me again, I'm going to explode in a fit of rage.
The other thing that I wanted to bring up is like, so we have talked about input, and I have complained that controllers have stayed the same for a very long time now.
Yeah.
One thing that does potentially excite me for the upcoming consoles is that, so you guys have seen the back button attachment that Sony put out.
Yeah.
Patents for the next DualShock show buttons already on the back of the controller.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that that's what we're going to get.
But it could be.
But if back buttons become a norm on just regular first-party controllers, that can change a lot of things.
It can change everything.
Yeah. And that excites me.
Yeah. And I think just that change can give us like so many new kinds of games.
Yeah. Because currently, those back buttons are mapped to buttons that already exist on the controller. Yeah. But going forward, they wouldn't necessarily have to be.
Right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. And yeah, because like all the games that we, you know, that we're playing now, they have to match inputs that we've been used to. Like in the case of the PlayStation, inputs that we've been used to for the last 20-something years. You know?
Yeah. I mean, like, the new God of War is like a different gameplay than the original, but like it's as far as like the actual buttons and like besides having the camera that you can change now, the buttons are basically the same. Yeah. They all do the same thing. Like I feel like whenever, especially when I use the, what are they called?
Blades of Chaos.
The Blades of Chaos. It feels super similar to the PS2.
Yeah. And you know, like when we first got DualShock 4, I was like, they got this touchpad on here.
Yeah, they're going to do so many things with it.
Something's going to happen. No, it's your pause button now. It's your fucking menu button or your map. You know, like.
I was shaking that spray paint can and then
well, that was just the fucking
but then I was doing spray paint with a touchpad.
Yeah.
But that's how it always is, right? The launch titles always get all the gimmicks in the controller, and then everybody stops using it.
But it's not how it always is, though, right? Like, DS wasn't that because it was built into the fucking system, right? So much so that Nintendo said, hey, let's do that on our home console and put out the Wii U.
And then they did it. And it was like, and it was great, right?
Actually, there's some other things that worked out really well.
I'm not saying that was, but DS sold fucking crazy.
Yeah, I bought one.
You know?
Did you buy one?
I bought like
I bought
two
multiple.
or three, yeah.
Cool.
I never bought the original DS.
Did you guys both buy Mario 64 with it?
I did, actually.
I sure did.
It had a little thumb stylus thing.
Yep. Right on.
I had the DS Lite, the DSi, the 3DS, and the 3DS XL.
That's a lot of DS, man.
I have the DSLs.
You sure do.
I never bought that OG DS, though, that had like the big round top.
I did. I bought that day one.
I did not.
I did.
Well, I bought the DS Lite because it came out with the Legend of Zelda version, but I already owned a DSi at that point.
It's easy to buy consoles at launch when you live with your mommy.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if you have a job.
Sure. I had a job and I lived with my mommy.
I had a job. I did not live with my mother.
Yeah.
You lived with your father.
I did not.
I don't know. I don't know. I never felt like any like super fatigue necessarily in this like console generation.
I don't either.
I do see where like some of the things that you want and like complaints with it. I'm not saying that they're not valid as far as that goes. I just never felt that way. Like I just feel like this generation made me appreciate more than I ever did in past ones. Like I definitely remember times my 360 and my PS3 or my PS2 just being like, this game's garbage, and just being like, and then just like dismissing it.
Yeah.
And like, you know, and like now I've gone back and I'm just like, man, I wish I appreciated that game more. Like I wish.
And that's not even a generational problem, you know? Like that's something that's going to happen every generation, you know?
I don't know. I just feel like with it being like getting bigger, with it becoming like more like profitable and marketable, I feel like and like I said, it may just be because I also joined this podcast. I just feel like it lends itself well to the creators more than I feel like in past generations.
Power to the players. So
I do think it lends itself more to creators than it has previously. I just don't think that most creators have taken advantage of that, whether that's by choice or, by
Limitations.
It's the people signing the checks, man.
Right, exactly. But like, I don't want you to think like I didn't enjoy this generation. I had a lot of fun playing these games this gen.
Yeah.
Just looking back on it as a whole,
I had more fun last time around.
Which, as the generation is coming to a close, I'm going to do. I'm just like, man, everything that's in my favorites folder on my PS4 is like all of it's old, all of it, you know. And then Nier Automata, like that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that I do very much appreciate like a lot of the stuff that's happened this generation, and but it sucks though because like I think back to last time around, and I wasn't even thinking about next generation when those consoles were announced.
Yeah.
I wasn't even thinking about it, and then now, and I know we said off top that we were going to talk about next generation, but
I mean, it's going to spill in a little bit, yeah.
But like at the same time, like now I find myself like wondering, like, is it going to be this way the next time around?
Yeah.
Because I
well, yeah, they want gaming to be more iterative, so like similar to phones. So
yep.
This is
also like, do generations exist anymore?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, you think so? They do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's mixed up more now than it has ever been, but I would still
Nintendo.
say it's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, and Xbox more than anybody, but yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's Xbox One X.
But and them saying like all their titles for the next Xbox will be playable on this gen.
Yeah.
For the entire first year. Like, good luck with that. But
Yeah. Well, I think that there's still some things to be happy about this generation, and I'm enjoying that Division 2 a lot, and
But like even small things, right? Like the PS3, I could make anything I wanted in my background, and now I got these themes or a screenshot, and that's it. Like little crap like that.
You could last generation. You could put any picture you wanted, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Now you have your choice of guy with a hoodie.
Yeah.
Some guns.
Now
guy with a hoodie carrying a gun.
If I want to play my
Kingdom Hearts
Spotify
ones.
If I want to play my Spotify in a game with the sound effects, I now have to go into the game's menu and turn the music off. I didn't have to do that before.
Yeah.
It did it for me.
Times are hard.
You used to watch Netflix with people on Xbox chat.
That was the coolest app on any console ever. They removed it halfway through the generation. I'm still pissed off about it.
Like, what's up? Why? Switch? There's no Netflix on Switch.
Yep.
They've got exclusive games to the console that are published by Netflix.
Yeah.
And no Netflix on the Switch.
What are we doing? What are we even doing?
Is there YouTube on the Switch now?
Yeah, there has been.
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, because that was one of my complaints, because I was like, my PS4 can't play Hulu plus Live TV, but my Switch can't play Netflix.
Yeah.
So I have to go.
So what are we gonna do?
Oh, I got an Apple TV. That's what I did.
Solve the problem.
Sure.
Well, I got gifted one.
Yeah, you can't play Mario on
Someone
that.
else solved
You
it.
can't play Mario on your Apple TV.
I think I played Mario Run on it.
Can you?
That's true. That's probably true.
Wahoo! Careful there, buddy. Shit. I had a. God damn it! I lost it.
I don't know.
I wanted to ask, like, what is the like? I don't play a lot of Switch, and I definitely don't play a lot of multiplayer on Switch.
Yeah.
What is the social aspect of that console like?
Horrible.
Is
it's
it?
the same as it's always been.
So like the most of the
There's still friend codes.
Really?
Yep.
There's no built-in chat system.
Oh.
Yeah. Most of the online feature that I use for the Switch is when a lot of their games have I don't know what to call it, but like with Fire Emblem, it's like on my free days that I can pick to like explore the monastery or like fight or go to like seminars. Like it has percentages of like people online, which one they chose. So like 39% people chose this, 34 chose this. So I can see that. And like so it has like online action.
Can I see what my friends are playing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I invite them to my game?
No.
Oh,
Typically, it's from within the game itself.
Yeah.
You know, but like even just voice chat, you're gonna use. I mean, at least me, I just use Discord on my phone.
I mean, that's what. Well, I think we talked about that before because I remember Nintendo got a lot of guff
Yeah.
for their mobile voice chat app.
Yeah.
But no one seems to have a problem with using the Discord.
Right. And I tend to give them a little bit of a pass only because it's $20 for a year.
That's not a lot of money.
And your gold coins can typically cover that if you buy
Yeah.
more than a few games a year.
Yeah.
You know? But
Yeah. I mean,
like for me, it's been free since it launched, you know?
Cool.
Like really, I have not really paid for it.
and then now they have like little Bluetooth adapters that are pretty easily usable, like even in a docked mode where you can use like Bluetooth headsets with it now.
But no first party stuff.
No first party, no. But the adapters that do exist work really well. My coworker that was saying that comes over and we play Smash Brothers.
I don't want to frag my Switch.
That's more with batteries.
Yeah.
Like if you charge with an unofficial battery, you run a risk.
Okay.
But
Okay. I don't want to frag the Switch.
Yeah. So like he has one of those adapters and it's been working amazingly well for him.
Cool. I don't know. I guess I just love. I like. I was talking the other day about people who tell me that they don't like video games, which for some reason, even as a 35-year-old man, my brain cannot process that. Like just across the board, not liking video games. And I like video games so much that even if I have a bunch of video games that I do not like, I need to play video games at least once a day just to feel normal.
Just gotta get that hit.
So like, even if no game, I think about this generation, and even if it just for some reason every game that came out over the last 7 years I did not like, I still would have bought it, and I'd still be playing video games every day.
yeah.
So what does my opinion matter?
When's
It
the last time you went a
matters.
day without playing a video game?
Huh?
When's the last time you went a day without playing a video game?
I was gonna say when I got my teeth yanked out of my mouth, but no, I woke up and played video games that day. I don't know. Oh wait, the last time I went without playing video games
For like 24 hours.
for 24 hours was the day I went to Japan.
I rarely play
Wait,
video games on
You
my
didn't-
work
not
days.
even on the flight?
I didn't have a handheld video game thing to bring
Or
with
a
me.
cell phone?
I had what I guess technically could be considered a smartphone, but it didn't support games or apps like that. So
Yeah.
I was just out of
How
luck.
many years ago was that?
A long time ago.
It was about
13 years?
a decade ago.
I have
But you-
I have a small thing before
Cool.
we end the show.
Cool. I got one too.
Go ahead, Ryan. What you got?
It was a thing that I mentioned last night about M. Bison and Street Fighter.
Oh yeah.
So, Shanae, you know how in fighting games, when the character gets knocked down, they have a frame that they have just to represent them being knocked down,
Yeah.
lying on the ground, right? Well, the frame that M. Bison has in Street Fighter V is the same frame that he had in Street Fighter 2.
Nice.
And I think that's really neat.
Yeah. That is neat.
What's your small thing?
So I've been playing Doom 2016,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember when Doom Eternal came out, and I realized you could have the classic gun position in that game. I was like, that's how I'm going to play Doom Eternal.
Cool.
Well, they patched it into Doom 2016. I don't know.
Oh,
when
right.
I don't know when they did it,
Cool.
but I've been playing with my gun centered, and it's just very nostalgic. And
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Doesn't change anything. But
Yeah, but you know how like
Yeah.
sometimes you change the look of something in a video game, it just makes it more fun to play
Yeah.
for some reason.
So
That sounds cool. That's a good reason to boot that game up again.
Mine isn't really that small, but I like
is
that.
it Smallville?
No, unfortunately not. I like that in Super Smash Brothers that you automatically get all like the different outfits and like colors they can be without like you just once you unlock the character you get all their variants.
That's an awesome thing. That's an awesome thing.
I like it because I don't know if it's a small thing, but I like it because the new TV is helping, but I have always been notoriously bad for being able to track my character while playing Smash Brothers.
Sure.
Like I just always have to look for my name, but we've been playing with items, so we have like the helpers, so my name doesn't help anymore.
Yeah.
But I have like I'll notice what colors other people that are playing pick, so I pick like one super different from them.
Yeah.
And it makes it easier for me.
Sure.
No,
and I like that.
You know why that's awesome, Sinead? Is before you got here, I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, right? And of course, there's different colors for all these characters. And to get them, if I want a white Gamora, I have to play through arcade mode, and then I unlock one color for that character. If I want another color for that same character, you're gonna play it again. If I want a color for a different character, you're gonna play it again.
No, thank you.
So like to unlock every color for every character,
it
takes for fucking ever.
Yeah.
You know?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not really a small thing, but I really appreciate that about Smash Brothers.
Oh, it's a good one. I like it.
Yeah. I've never been able to play that game very well because I have a hard time keeping up with what's going on.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
I'm getting better though.
Sure.
Just
use that C stick a bunch. You'll be all right.
yeah. Well, I'm playing with the and lately I've been playing with the Joy-Cons. It's not been great.
I'm sorry.
It's not been great. But yeah. Well, that's our show. You can find us on Discord. You can most podcast apps, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, browsers.
You don't have to say the browsers one anymore.
It's pronounced Braziers.
Yeah, it is. We established last night at Sarah's house that it's pronounced Braziers.
Okay. Well, you made me say that joke for so long that I'm just gonna kill it.
Okay.
It's probably dead now, but I'm just gonna keep burying it.
Janae
Okay.
in the show.
And that's our show. Dun, 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 dun. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.